FIAC give me a future.
Thanks to American for Immigrant Justice.
I'm glad that FIAC can help me.
Que nos han ayudado la Organización de Americanos por Justicia de Inmigrantes.
I will always be grateful.
And it's all because to Americans for Immigrant Justice.
We began FIAC because a number of us had been working for a legal service corporation. We realized that pretty soon a law was going to pass that was going to prevent us from assisting our immigrant clients unless they were already legal. And we realized that we had to start a new organization where we could continue doing the work that we felt was so important, keeping families together, making sure that people who qualified for legal residency got it.
We will empower them to alleviate their suffering, to help provide the freedom they need to be full citizens in the United States.
I could show the judge that this was a child who had fled Mexico because he was abused, and the man and his wife who were caring for him could say to the judge, this boy has been abused because we've seen the marks on his body.
With promises of a great job in the United States, 18-year-old Maria left her job as a clerk in Veracruz, Mexico. After being smuggled into the U.S., Maria learned she was to work as a prostitute in a series of broken-down trailers throughout South Florida. Armed men stood outside the trailers, guarding the women, who lived in total fear. Maria was expected to have sex with up to 35 men a day. FIAC fortunately learned of her terrible plight and worked long hours on behalf of Maria and 16 other women, some as young as 16 years old, to secure their release from detention and obtain their work permits and legal visas. With pro bono help from Greenberg-Traurig attorney Holly Skolnick, $1 million in restitution was awarded the women. Both Maria and her FIAC attorney testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in April 2008. FIAC's role in this case over 10 years ago served as a model for the U.S. Department of Justice. Female detainees in INS custody are especially vulnerable because not only are they incarcerated, they fear deportation or transfer to remote jails if they complain. Despite this, many women at the Chrome Detention Center bravely came forward in the summer of 2000 in an attempt to end the corruption there. FIAC attorneys called for a high-level investigation.
Oh, life at Chrome was like living in a jungle. It was horrible, it was miserable, it was frustrating.
My situation was so humiliating, so degrading that no girl would even want to make that up, not to even get on the Jerry Springer show.
It was the worst time of my life.
We got in touch with Florida Immigrant Advocacy Center, and Sherry Little came to see us. It was like God sent.
Little heads the Florida Immigrant Advocacy Center. Her nonprofit organization does legal work for detainees.
They are transferred oftentimes in the middle of the night. They lose their documents a lot of times, so they're not allowed to take important documents that they need for court during these transfers. Oftentimes, they're in a real black hole.
What do you mean?
Nobody knows they're there. I mean, it's taken me weeks sometimes to find my clients, and I've had some INS officials tell me that at times they've had difficulty tracking down their own clients.
Medji, like many young children, was forced to flee her native land of Haiti under tragic circumstances. FIAC took her case, and she now resides in the United States with her great-aunt.
I am 7 years old. I'm from Haiti. I came to the United States when I was 4. I'm glad to be in the United States because I like school. This is my report come from school. in my class in school, some of the children don't speak English. They only speak Creole, and the teacher only speaks English with them. So I help a lot of them because I speak English and Creole. I'm glad that Fiat can help me stay here.
She came searching for her mother, who left her years ago. A U.S. judge has ordered her deported back to Central America. Marta left at age 12, tried to join her. Her grandmother was dying of cancer. There was no one else to care for her. A smuggler helped her cross the Rio Grande in an inner tube.
They put a float around you, and you held on. Can you swim?
2 years later, when she finally went to court, a judge ordered her deported. She was sent to Boys Town to await her fate. As a lawyer for the Florida Immigrant Advocacy Center, Michelle is the only person on Marta's side.
They have a right to an attorney, but the government will not pay for an attorney. So if they don't have a pro bono attorney, they have to go there on their own, regardless of their age, and present their cases.
So you mean 5-year-olds are responsible for their case?
Correct.
She wants the judge to understand that no one here can care for her, and no one in her home country can take her back. Now, behind these doors, her journey will end, one way or another. "45 minutes later, Marta comes out with a U.S. visa and a world of possibilities.
I came to the U.S. because of the problems in Cuba. I left Cuba trying to reach Honduras. We left on a boat hand-built out of aluminum tubes. And 6 days after we left, we were caught in a storm and realized we were in serious trouble. The engine broke down and we were drifting further away from our destination. There was nothing to eat and very little water to drink. The men did catch a bird that we ate on the 15th day, but some people began drinking seawater and things took a turn for the worse. One day, my husband and another man jumped into the sea to tighten the boat's stabilizer, but they were swept away by a strong current. My husband swam around for 3 days trying to return to our boat. I didn't sleep for those 3 days, just watching him. I finally fell asleep, and when I woke up, he was gone. So on that day, 4 people died. 3 days later, a big boat from Holland rescued us. We spent 36 days at sea. I got permission to be reunited with family in Miami. I had a friend who was helped by FIAC, and I asked them to help me as well. They've been helping me in every way to legalize my status since March 2006. I work at Sears, and I'm studying English at Miami-Dade College. I feel good living in this country. I finally feel free.
I lived in the United States more than 10 years. I passed my naturalization interview, and after 2 years I started writing to the letter to the different officials, and unfortunately I could not get any response from any official from the United States.
You have to wait because the FBI is investigating you 6 months later, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and nothing happened.
And then I start to send requests to immigration why I don't have any response from them. I probably sent 20 letters. I was hopeless. My case was still pending. And I read article in newspaper and I found information about FIAC and how they help people, and I contacted this agency.
So finally I came to FIAC, and those people, they helped me a lot.
They answered me immediately. We sent the paper to the immigration. 1 week later, I have my fingerprint. 1 month later, I have my citizenship. I have my passport, U.S. citizen.
But most importantly, I can vote now.
and the government police, they come to home and broken in our home, and they arrested and they took to the jail. After they made torture, I decided to come United States. When I arrived in Miami airport, I told to the officer I came to ask political asylum to save my life. And they took me in the federal prison for 3 months. After federal prison, they transferred me in Chrome Immigration Center. When I was in Chrome, I fill up in the application the form for FIAC. After they decided and they say they accepted my case. Now I'm very glad. I say thanks so much because I couldn't find words for FIAC. First of all, they saved my life. Life is very important.
March 23, 2003, immigration officers came to my home with a show of force and placed handcuffs on me. They pulled their guns, which was very intimidating to the children. I went from TGK to Wakulla County to Panama City, Bay County. Then they brought me back to Wakulla County, then to Orlando. And after 11 months, I was finally deported to Trinidad. My family's life collapsed. FIAC fought my case. They took this all the way to the 11th Circuit Court. Even though FIAC won my case in the 11th Circuit Court, they continued to fight for 14 months after to get my case back to the United States, back to the U.S. immigration judge to bring me here for a cancellation. And the judge agreed that it was a very strong case and I should remain in the United States as a legal permanent resident. Words cannot express my gratitude to FIAC.
Well, I love this country. I've been in this country since I was 7 years old. I'm 26 now. This is my home. You know, I grew up here. This is the only language I know.
And it was just me and my mom. So my mom was like my rock, you know. I'm an only child, and you know they found out about my mom's final order of deportation, and they detained her. And I couldn't do anything. I myself am undocumented. You know, I couldn't visit her or anything like that. AIJ became involved in my case when I was almost deported. That's when, you know, Cheryl and everybody like fought so hard for my case, and thank God because of AI Justice and Cheryl, you know, as soon as she found out, I was released within those 24 hours.
I love you.
I love you too. We thought it was so important to be here as we recognize the accomplishments of these incredibly courageous kids who on January 1st embarked on a 1,500-mile journey by foot that would take them from Miami to our nation's capital. Gabby, Carlos, Juan, and Felipe have done this in order to call attention for the urgent need for Congress to pass the DREAM Act and enact sensible immigration reform.
Protecting and promoting the basic human rights of immigrants.
And the work continues. La lucha